All right, folks, welcome back in. This is Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr., and we're pretty happy because the Yankees just won a huge game, postseason atmosphere, 10-4 against a really good Royals team that, let's be honest here, they were winning this game going in the seventh inning 4-3. So to score 7 unanswered runs, pull away with the W, I don't care that it was at home. If anything, I'm more happy it was at home because the Yankees are a better road team anyway. To see them winning at home, to see what we saw today, different ways of putting runs on the board, Gary. This wasn't just a home run derby. Judge with a single in the 7th inning, Torres with a single. Obviously Wells even doubled in the 8th inning, even after hitting his 3-run home run. Verdugo homered, Cabrera walked in. Dominguez scored on throwing error. A lot of base stealing, base movement. The athleticism was evident with Jasson Dominguez in the lineup in combination with Jazz Chisholm. And I thought you saw some great things out of Cabrera too. And I was just so impressed because this is a guy that hasn't played in days. And he comes in, he just does his thing, So great day. And I'm excited to get talking about everything. I mean, we got a long thing planned. We'll get to mailbag at the end of the show. We'll get to shout outs at the end of the show. We're going to be giving making a big case for Austin Wells as Rookie of the Year. We'll talk about Verdugo/Dominguez. We'll talk about Verdugo's comments, which I like. The playoffs, the idea of that. Rodon, the bullpen seems to be back on track. We'll talk about Volpe getting benched, probably given a day off, but still nonetheless, after he had played every game since March. So that was interesting. And 10 runs without Stanton in the lineup. So fun episode. Definitely be sure to grab your favorite drink, stay a little while, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already. And I also want to bring mention before I send it over to Gary here. I have started our Discord channel. I said I was going to do it. I did it. The link is going to be in the description, and I'm going to look at how many people we have in it now. Looks like people are actually joining, which was kind of wild, Gary. So when I created it, Yankees Unloaded Community, I had people joining like they were waiting on me to create it. Like
it's a cool platform. Let's be honest. You get to talk to people. You get to hear their voice, which is cool. And then obviously it's a chat where normal people can go. I know Twitter is supposed to be that technically, but there are a lot of losers on Twitter too that we don't want to hear from. Yeah. So our Discord is a way to kind of sift through the debris, weed out, and find the baseball minds who are at least maybe not right all the time about baseball, but at the very least, they have a process, the same process that we have, which is that we can be wrong on any given day. And we can talk through some of these issues, talk through some call-ups, some players that should or shouldn't be playing, a much more enjoyable experience. So if you want to do that, go join our Discord. We think you'll have a good time. But Jake, let's not wait any longer. Austin Wells is the show today. And this is a player that before the numbers actually started to come out and suggest exactly what you were predicting, we were looking at a lot of, dare I say, analytics to point us in this direction. I know you were judging him based on your eye test. You were telling me a lot of times off air that this player is making a lot of hard contact. And you acknowledged that's not necessarily his job to just hit the ball hard. Obviously, over the course of a long season, you need to put the ball on the grass in the outfield or in the stands at some point or another. Hard contact is not the game of baseball. That's just nerd stuff. But you can use it as an indication. Can this player turn it around? And when we looked at those numbers, we said, okay, we think this guy's got a shot. And you made the prediction. I think I'm looking at a player who may hit 20 home runs. And if you actually project Austin Wells over a span of a full season, you're looking at a player who could have hit 20 home runs. And right now, Austin Wells is making a real case to win Rookie of the Year. I know he doesn't necessarily have the counting stats you would love, and he's not going to play 150 games. But Jake, he's one of the best catchers in Major League Baseball right now. How can you look the other way from this player?
I'm going to say something that might seem very knee-jerk, but I think he might be the best catcher in baseball, Gary. I'm not kidding.
Who else is in the discussion?
Rushman. I mean, we had talked about this before. I'd say Rushman is definitely there. I'd say from Philadelphia, Real Muto.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't take any of those players over Austin Wells right now, especially given the fact you're talking about.
Either.
I mean, Rauschman, he's having a bad year, and he has the talent absolutely to be a better player than Austin Wells. And I still think, okay, but right now we're talking about just today. Okay. Not projecting for a career. Right now, Austin Wells is the best hitting catcher in the big leagues. So take that for what you will. And by the way, Jake, you were trying to convince yourself before we went live about the case for Wells over Cowser. And the crazy part about it, you were looking at the numbers of late, right? What's happened so far in September? What happened last month? The most important months of the year, right? And what did you find? Because I want to make sure I tee you up, and I don't want to take the numbers. I don't want to take credit. Go ahead, because I feel like not a lot of people know these numbers, just because a lot of times when you're going, who's going to win MVP? Who's going to win Rookie of the Year? Who's going to win Comeback Player of the Year? A lot of times you stare at counting stats. Jake, take it away.
Yeah, so I actually came up with something after this, actually. I realized that Austin Wells has, and to be fair, Austin Wells has played in 28 fewer games in the span since May 1st. 28 fewer games than Cowser.
And that matters.
That also kind of helps him in a weird way, and I'm going to explain why. So Austin Wells, I mean, if Cowser has minus 220 odds to win Rookie of the Year, he is the favorite currently, and Austin Wells is second. We're talking about AL Rookie there. I'm not getting into Skeens and Rookie of the Year as a whole. I'm talking about AL, right? So if that's the case, I'm going to say this right now. I don't think it's remotely close, Gary. I think Austin Wells is a lot better than Cowser. Cowser just happens to play for the Orioles, and people have this love fest right now for the young guns that they have, which I get. It's fun baseball, all of that. Well, Austin Wells is fun baseball. As a matter of fact, I heard Nick Swisher after the game say he reminded him, of course, with the mustache, of course, he reminded him of Thurman Munson, who's like one of my all-time favorites. Like going back throughout history, I love Thurman Munson. It's actually one of the main reasons why 15 is been my favorite number. Like just getting to learn about Thurman Munson and everything. I've just always been a fan. And so I kind of get what he's saying. Austin Wells is somebody that, you know, as they talked about in the post-game show, and I thought it was a great post-game show, really building the case for Wells as a story. Because this is a guy, like any catcher the Yankees have drafted, he was constantly article after article about him moving to first, not being good enough to be behind the plate. And he's turned himself into a top 5 defensive catcher and a top 5 offensive catcher. And I think playing catcher 80 games is, I think it actually, in my opinion, I think it equals the 108 games that Cowser played. And I would also go as far as to say this. Cowser, keep in mind, he has way more at-bats, all of that. But in 362 at-bats to Austin Wells 250, right? Cowser has 83 hits. Austin Wells has 65. Like, okay, Cowser's got more hits, right? Cowser's got 57 runs. Austin Wells has 31. But Cowser, for an outfielder, should be doing that and should be doing more, in my opinion. This is where it gets interesting, though, Gary. Doubles. When you think Cowser has tons of doubles, he has one more double than Austin Wells since May 1st.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's insane. My catcher, our catcher, you tweeted out, that's my effing catcher. Our catcher.
Sure, my mom's not going to love that language, but whatever.
It happens. Our catcher has 13 doubles. And Cowser's 14.
Okay, so like I've heard exactly what you said. My takeaway, Austin Wells is a way better player. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
got 11 homers, by the way. Cowser's got 14, and he's got 2 fewer RBIs.
Yeah, I mean, Wells is a much better player. Mm-hmm. So
Those are the
Where we're
counting
at,
stats, though. I was going to
the
get
counting
to,
stats.
the averages, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, go ahead on the averages.
so his batting average, Cowser, and this is not me trying to say Cowser's a bad player, but when we're talking about cases having to be made, sometimes it gets a little ugly, and sometimes you do have to discredit another player. And I don't mean to discredit Cowser, but he's hitting 229 since May 1st. That's most of the year.
That matters.
So
Yeah, May is
Austin
not. I mean, you're
Wells,
not cherry picking the last month of the season. No, you're talking about May. May
yeah,
is a long time ago.
Austin Wells is hitting 260 since May 1st. His on-base percentage is 342 since May 1st.
That's not a surprise, though. Austin Wells, remember, his expected batting average was 260. Remember, his numbers weren't exceptional. Trevino was finding grass, right? He was playing every other day.
Absolutely.
And people said, well, it says his expected batting average is 262. It's exactly what it was. We read it. Go watch the show. And we said, well, hold on a second. You may have an expected batting average of 262, but you still got to go do it. Don't tell me what you expect. Go perform, right? We said this. And you made the projection that you think he can do it. But nowhere did we say that this was enough currently. He's got to go do it. And long and behold, you had Trevino have an injury, and then Wells found his way on the field every day. And since then, we've seen Austin Wells be the best catcher in the big leagues. So as far as I'm concerned, Cowser's absolutely putting up counting stats, which should matter for something, but he's not catching every day. He's not catching. Isn't catching the hardest position on the field. And by the way, when it comes to
slugging either.
No, but when it comes to counting stats, this is where my hesitation resides. I can't necessarily say a player is better than another player because of counting stats. And the reason for it is because I watched Joe Mauer. Okay, I'm going to use Joe Mauer as a perfect example. Obviously, Joe Mauer didn't have as long of a season as a lot of catchers that we can come up with, right? And Yadier Molina is one of those catchers. He played a long time in this league. But yet, I wouldn't look at his counting stats offensively over the course of a almost 20-year career and say, yeah, this is a better catcher. This is a better offensive player than Joe Mauer. No, Joe Mauer just spent less time on the field. He wasn't there as long. So we've talked about it, and I wouldn't necessarily be pissed if Cowser wins because being on the field does matter. Playing every day does matter. I'm not going to discount that. So there's a reason Cowser's the favorite to win. But as far as I'm concerned, you would like the better player to win the award. That's just my opinion on it. Jake, I know you agree. And there are going to be other people who agree with that as well. But then at the same time, there are going to be others who say, well, if Wells was going to be the rookie of the year, maybe you blame Aaron Boone for not playing him every day when he's probably more than capable at this age. And I say fair, touche. If Austin Wells played every day, we're probably looking at a player.
Remember how many times I brought that
counting
up?
Stats are far superior.
Yeah. Remember how many times I brought that up? So on one hand, you want to save Dominguez, but you literally have a rookie of the year guy that would get you a pick because he was a top 100 prospect. I mean, it's frustrating, but I'm just glad Austin Wells is a Yankee. Fun fact, do you know about the Austin Wells trade or the draft day thing?
No.
Oh, you're gonna like this. So I'm pretty sure it was the Rays. The Rays called him and they're like, "We're gonna draft you," and he said, "No, don't draft me. I want to play for the Yankees."
Did he really? Because this is a U of A kid. Did he really?
Yeah. He wanted to play for the Yankees. He wanted to be a Yankee. He told teams, he told his agent, I will not sign there. And he forced his way to the Yankees.
So maybe he saw Gary Sanchez and he's like, this dude can't catch.
I'll be catching there in 3 years.
I'll be at the big league level. That's probably what some of these players, I mean, let's be honest.
No, but I think he was a Yankee fan, though.
Which I don't doubt. But when you saw Gary Sanchez, anyone could have told you, yeah, Gary Sanchez isn't going to be catching games for the Yankees. He might be DHing. He's not going to be catching games for the Yankees in 2021 or 2022. No way.
By the way, how copy and paste was the media there? Like, oh, Gary Sanchez can't feel, or he can't be a defensive catcher, and Wells is a first round catcher by the Yankees. Let's just copy and paste all that stuff and just remove Gary out of it and just put Austin. Like, I mean, it's just like, that's what they did. Because I remember hearing that, and I watched a game, Gary. This is actually kind of the origin of how I became an Austin Wells stan, if you will. I watched a game that was on Yes. It was AA. And I watched him call it behind the plate. I saw all of it, everything that you need to see. I saw his framing. I saw his hitting. I think he went 3 for 5 in that game with 2 homers. And I was like, yeah, that guy's the closest thing that I've seen to being a Jorge Posada for this organization.
Right.
Like that, the first thing I thought of was Jorge Posada. He's not a switch hitter, and I want to give Jorge a lot of credit because being a switch hitting catcher is extremely valuable. But to me, Austin Wells, being a lefty at Yankee Stadium, he's a cheat code. And he is going to be an absolute dynamite in the postseason. I can already see it now. He is going to be a problem. And so, again, it's not to discredit Cowser. I think Cowser's a good player. But I think if you gave Cowser Rookie of the Year, you're giving it to it because somebody has to win AL Rookie of the Year. And instead, why do that when Austin Wells is clearly the AL Rookie of the Year if it's not Luis Heel?
Well, I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
The Yankees and Orioles right now are in the midst of they're in the midst of a division title, right?
Absolutely.
The Yankees are up 1.5 games. The Yankees are going to be hosting the Baltimore Orioles at the stadium, right? And we'll probably be there.
Yep.
But shouldn't the results of not just that series, but the remainder of this season, because in my opinion, if you use the rest of September, right, as we head to October baseball, to figure out who the Rookie of the Year is, well, shouldn't the most important games of the season have a huge indication of who wins? That's my opinion on it. And by the way, Jake, if that's the case, and I believe it should be the case, Austin Wells is absolutely, in terms of trends, we have way more reason to believe Austin Wells is going to perform well in September and into October than Cowser for the Baltimore Orioles. That's just my opinion. And I like Cowser. I do. But based on what he's done since May 1st, there is no indication he's going to put a team on his back and carry a game in September. I don't see that happening. I also don't see him catching any games anytime soon. I think that should matter. So I'm not saying that Wells should win, but to watch Austin Wells dominate another month at the most important position in the field other than maybe shortstop. I mean, you could give the argument the catcher is the most important defensive position in the field. Well, how are we not going to look this kid's way? I think we should, and I think to not look his way is an injustice to baseball.
I agree. And I mean, I'm looking at Cowser's savant stats because I was very curious. Fielding run value, a 9, so 91st percentile. Austin Wells is 95th percentile, 11. Austin Wells, they gave him a -1 base running run value. I have no idea where they're getting that. Oh, you know what? He got picked off the other day. I'm sure that hurt him. And then they gave him an 87. He's got 8 stolen bases. And by the way, Austin Wells, they didn't factor in today's game. He's got the same amount of doubles as this guy in way fewer games. So
yeah, and what about the framing? Obviously, you don't frame any baseballs in left field. So you're talking about Austin Wells impacting games where he's a really good hitter, but when in games he goes 0 for 4, he is one of the most impactful guys in the field in terms of framing pitches for us, right? So he's a more valuable asset. Now, do you consider a more valuable player the winner of Rookie of the Year? We're going to find that out. Now, I think a lot of people are going to play it safe and use counting stats, say, well, he hit 24 homers. He drove in 75. I'm giving him Rookie of the Year. And to that, I say again, fine. Yeah. If you want to play it that way, absolutely. You want to use games played as an indicator of who should win. Okay. But Austin Wells is a better player. He just is. And I think that's the last I've got to say of it. I am super impressed, and I'm impressed by your prediction as well, because I even said at the beginning of this podcast, and this is months ago now, beginning of the season, I didn't like our catcher's room. Obviously, I wasn't very high on Trevino, didn't like the way he threw the ball, and that's gotten exponentially worse since the beginning of the year off of injury. And I didn't like his long-term ability with the bat. But I can't say I wrote off Austin Wells, but he was more of an analytics project and not necessarily results driven. And now he's results driven. This is a player that's putting up the numbers. He's hitting for average. He's hitting for power. He can run. He can score from first. He's framing. He can block. If I ask somebody, what does Austin Wells really, like, what does he really need to work on? The list is pretty short. It is, right?
Yeah,
it
just short.
is. So he's just a really good overall ball player. And for a team that has struggled finding players who are good at both offense and defense, right? Our top prospect, Anthony Volpe, he sure as hell, I mean, he's trying. Someone actually compared him the other day to Ozzie Smith. Obviously, he's not at that level defensively, but you're telling the story that he's just a glove out there right now. Austin Wells is both. He's a two-way player, and I think that should mean something.
I agree. And I mean, this is a guy that I think a lot of people forget. You know, he didn't have a great year in the minor leagues in 2023. I mean, you know, he had an OPS of 775. So it's not like, you know, he was crushing it. But I think sometimes guys get stale just being in the same spot. And looking at his, you know, season before, 19 games, he had 16 hits in 19 games, 229 batting average, a 743 OPS. I mean, you know, the issue was his on base percentage was 257, but he had a 486 slugging. So, Gary, when we were doing our predictions, at some point we should do a live stream, just you and I rewatching our predictions. I think that would be cool, reacting to that.
God, there is no show on the planet that's doing that. Because, I mean, we make a lot of predictions. We do a show every day. It'll make us look bad and then also pretty good.
We did predictions about players, like all the players. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. I do, yeah.
There'll be a legitimate episode that we can just pull up and we'll have a watch along and people can watch and we'll react and we can even do like Q&A and stuff afterwards or whatever. It's just that idea. But I guess really what I'm getting at is Wells, I knew his on base percentage had always been a big deal for him. Because, I mean, in the minors, he had a 370 on base percentage. So when he struggled to get on base at 257 clip last year in 19 games, but I saw that slugging and I saw he had 4 home runs in 19 games, I'm like, well, I never looked at him as like a slugger. Like the most he ever had was 20 in 2022. But I felt like more than likely, if one of those things goes, it's going to be the home runs, and I'm okay with it. However, I actually looked at the 4 home runs and saw a guy that had that potential to hit 20, and I saw the on-base percentage, and I was like they might have, like, not actually Joe Mauer on the level of, like, his batting average, but getting on base, hitting enough home runs where you're like, okay, and then doing what he does behind the plate. I mean, this is why they didn't make a trade, and this is actually why I was against the Juan Soto deal, because I'll tell you, Austin Wells would have been a part of that. That's the thing a lot of people forget, is that trading for Juan Soto right after you trade all those guys for Gallo, I think that hurt the minor league system. And it was an old team with guys like Donaldson, LeMahieu. I mean, he's still there, but older team, right? That was my gripe about trading for Soto when the Padres did it. Because had they done that, Wells is gone. Volpe's gone. Volpe may be something. I get what people are saying, but I'll tell you right now, I would not trade Wells. I would not trade Wells.
Is Wells a better? I know he's performing better now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to say in the short term he's been a better player. But if you had to take a pick, whose future would you rather bet on right now as a Yankee? Not just being here, but performing well. Is it Anthony Volpe or is it Austin Wells? And that's a question that I think a lot of people should have. That doesn't mean we're vouching for Volpe to be off this team come November.
Mm-hmm.
It means none of that. But what it does mean is a lot of people have talked about who have the Yankees developed. You look up and down this roster, Juan Soto, they had to trade for him. Gleyber Torres, they traded Chapman to Chicago, had to get him here, right? Was a really good move. You're talking about Jazz Chisholm, came at the deadline, right? Jasson Dominguez, he just got here. So Rizzo traded for, Verdugo traded for from Boston. So a lot of our roster are players that came from other systems, and that's okay when you can spend $300 million, but people keep bringing the question back. Who have the Yankees developed? And not just tried to develop. actually successfully developed, and the list is not very long. After Aaron Judge, there are not many great players in this system that we developed. Austin Wells is a player who has the potential to be a great player, and not just we're projecting from something he did in high A baseball. No, since May 1st, he's been a great player. That doesn't mean he's going to be a great player long term, but how many other players do you know for the Yankees that have been an elite player for multiple months in a row, and we don't consider them great players? So at some point or another, if we have a monster September, we're going to have to put Austin Wells in a conversation where we say, okay, I think the Yankees, they don't just have a contributor, they may have something here that we didn't think. It was like right under our nose. And that's exciting because at the very least, it means that we don't have to do this Circus Olay show at the catcher's position for the next decade.
No, exactly. And, they have some guys in the minors, JC Escara, he's played well. And then, of course, Narvaez, who I really like as a backup. I mean, I think he's a plus backup. Like, I think he's going to be really good. So, I mean, I don't think Trevino is going to be around next year. Maybe he is, but I don't really see it. I think it'll be Wells, and they'll move on from Trevino and go with Narvaez. And I think that's a really good tandem, but with the assumption that Austin Wells plays 130 to 140 games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I hope that's what gets across with Boone, is that, they asked him today, where he would put him in the list, or would he be, high on the rookie of the year list? And he said, yes. I mean, Boone has to know deep down, like, he might have cost him this award, if we're being honest, by not playing him.
Well, do you remember what I said about the pros and cons of playing him and not? And these pros, everybody's aware of it, but we don't talk about it. The pros are Austin Wells. Nothing's for sure. We still have to play September baseball, but him playing 115 games this year is going to absolutely help him be on the field in October. But are you in the exact position that you wanted to be in entering into October based on how often you played a certain player? And that's where the conversation stems. Do we want Austin Wells playing 140 games? Most of the catchers in baseball that you would consider to be the best catchers in the league, they do play a lot of games. They do. And especially the players who you would consider young. And I know 30 years old is a young person in real life, but in Major League Baseball, you need to be in your early 20s or mid 20s. That's a young player. Austin Wells is that. Austin Wells physically can handle this position every day. Now, heading into October, he should be fresh. So as far as his performance falling off a cliff, I think based on the way Aaron Boone's used him, this should help him really power through the end of September and help us in the most important games of the year. So I'm not going to clap my hands for what happened. I didn't like it. I didn't.
No,
I did not like it in any like no part of my body enjoyed it, because I didn't like to watch Trevino give up 9 stolen bases against Boston. It was horrible.
That was
but
awesome.
Now that we sit a game and a half ahead of Baltimore, right? Heel's back, Schmidt's back, Cole's pitching well. Rodon was okay today. Nestor, they're doing that 2-headed attack. So we got Holmes out the closer's role. So all this is happening. And now you look over and say, the last step is the Yankees just need to go perform and stay healthy. Well, you just played 120 games. So if there's this is the best reason ever to stay healthy. You didn't play that much.
Yeah. He should be in every single game in the postseason. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Maybe that was the 100%. Plan, but I think I'm giving Boone too much credit if I even go that route. So,
that would be pretty insane to try that, to sit one of your better offensive players, a player that you have now plugged in to the 4 spot in your lineup behind Aaron Judge, and you sat him all year just to make sure he's fresh for late September. I mean, I wouldn't.
Stranger things have happened, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees have prioritized the regular season most often, right? Overusing their bullpen. We've seen that a million times. Not even thinking about October, seemingly. And then they get to October, they're just completely burnt out. Well, this is the opposite. This is the exact opposite. This is, we are going to tread lightly in the regular season. And then come October, if we have a pivotal game 6, we're not going to look at the lineup and see Jose Trevino's name, right? So maybe this is part of the plan. Who knows?
I mean, all I know is that in the 4 spot, he's scored 12 runs. He has 32 hits, 5 homers, 24 RBIs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's batting 305. He's got a 372 on base percent, 505 slugging. He's got an 877 OPS in 105 at bats.
Yep.
I'm going to go as far as to say that's Austin Wells. I'm not going to say he's a 300 hitter, but I think he could be. So
I mean, I'll take 270. Are you kidding me? 250. Remember?
Oh yeah,
Corey Posada wasn't hitting. Yeah, he wasn't hitting 300.
In my predictions, and I know I'm asking you to go back to like February, but did I say 270 or 250 or around that? I think I said.
No, I think you probably said 250.
I might have even said I was fine with 220 and 20 home runs.
Yeah, because it was now established defensively that he was a good player back there. So once it's established, okay, Austin Wells can catch. Not only can he catch,
definitely said I think I definitely said I think he can hit 270 with 20 home runs. Okay. Like, really? It's like, okay. I think
we'll have to go back.
We're gonna have to do that like off day. Next off day, we'll do that.
Okay.
That's the deal.
Game for it.
So you guys look out for that. When is the next off day? I don't know. They play the whole week, I'm pretty sure.
Good.
So I know. You know what's even better? This Royals series, we can actually bask in it because there's no day game.
Thank God.
There's no day game.
I hate day games.
I know, they're the worst.
No, someone actually told me the other day, they're like, I love day games. I get to watch the Yankees play and then I can go do what I want to do. I'm like, really? Because day games are on Sunday and everything closes on Sunday. Early. Then they tell me, oh, everyone's got work tomorrow. I go, what do you mean they have work tomorrow on a Sunday? They have work tomorrow on a Tuesday. It makes
Boston
no sense.
Day games.
Nobody can justify anything series. Closing early on a Sunday. It makes no sense.
No, it's awful. We got the West Coast time coming up. Okay, so now we know. So Kansas City, this takes us through Wednesday, 7:05 games. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the Boston series. That's a big series.
Boston stinks right now.
Yeah, you have to win those games.
Yeah,
they've had your number. You have to win those games. Saturday and Sunday, 105 and 135. Something about scheduling 135 on a NFL Sunday seems insane to me, but is what it is. Monday is the off day. That's when we'll do it. September 16th, if you're around. Okay. I know you're leaving soon, so.
Yeah, I may be on a flight to Tampa, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, if we can do it, if not the next available off day between you and I, we'll go over it. I think that's cool. I've never done that with any of my content, so I think that's probably a smart idea. Seattle, they go to Seattle 9:40, 9:40, and 4:10 Tuesday.
Seattle
Wednesday,
can't score
Thursday.
A damn run. If we can't be, I'm sorry. If you can score at all, you put up 3 runs a game against Seattle, and those are dubs. They are.
And then you got the A's.
You can't score a lick. Then they play Oakland?
Yeah. All on the West Coast, which the Yankees dominate the West Coast if you've been paying attention this year. So they need to win those games. And then the Baltimore series, which we're likely to be at. So
yeah, this is true.
All 7:05 games.
By the way, can we talk Gleyber Torres?
We can, because
Gleyber Torres was, Gleyber Torres, you actually text me. This is way earlier today. He's hitting 250 now, which I know it shouldn't be exciting to see a player hit 250. But if you knew the context of what Gleyber Torres had been doing for I would basically say the first 3.5 months of the year, after him being benched, just a completely different player. He's made errors, right? He's had plays where they were to be desired. He's had some boneheaded plays, but we can live with it if you can rake. And Gleyber Torres is not on the field to run the bases. He's not on the field to drop down a bunt. He's not on the field to do the dirty work. He is a second baseman that can rake. And what tells me that is what he did last year and the year prior. He was our second best bat last year. So having said that, if you're going to be on the field and not traded, because a lot of people talk to us about this, What do the Yankees do? Do they trade him? Do they flip him to Miami, who clearly has liked him over the years? What do they do with this player? And the Yankees decided, we're going to hold on to this asset, who is an expiring deal, right? He's a free agent at the end of this year. We need him in October. And everyone said, you need this version of Gleyber Torres. He stinks. And guess what, guys? They were right. They were right. Gleyber Torres was awful. He wasn't valuable to the Yankees in any way. Not on defense, not on the base pass, not in the dugout, not offensively with a bat in his hand. He was awful at everything. And after he was benched by Aaron Boone, we gave him credit for holding him accountable for a lack of effort in performance. What's happened since then? Gleyber Torres has essentially been an over 300 hitter, and he's not slapping singles. He's slugging. So, and by the way, the best thing he's been doing is getting on base and seeing pitches. Well, guess what, guys? When you're a leadoff hitter in front of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, who, by the way, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, I know today it was a different story. They've not hit very well this past few weeks. They haven't been their usual selves. Aaron Judge isn't hitting homers the way we're used to. But you know what, Jake, when he is, you know who's on first base a lot right now? Gleyber Torres. So when that's happening, am I supposed to doubt Aaron Judge is going to turn it back on?
No.
I think he will. Everyone knows it.
It's coming in this
really,
series,
we're just waiting on it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to get a hold of one in this series. And then Aaron Judge is streaky with his home runs, kind of like Stanton. He goes on these tears that, like, you wouldn't believe when you see him. That's the thing. He'll go, like, he has 51 right now, right? 52. Is it 51? It's been a while.
Honestly, I don't. It's been a long time since he's even hit a homer. I actually have no idea. 51. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but here's the deal. He hits one, he's going to hit like 7 in the next 14 games. That puts him at 58. Pretty much wraps up the season, but that's kind of where I see it, is like he's one of those guys where, he gets into a run. It's so funny because ESPN was debating Judge and Ohtani, like even without like the pitching. And they made like a big deal because like Stephen A was debating it. I'm like, Stephen A thought
Stephen A's watched 3 baseball games this year. I'm not kidding.
Soto.
And there were 2 of them were Yankees games, and he was sitting in his socks in his condo. God. And he's going to tell me he's going to weigh in on the Yankees and Ohtani. He hasn't seen one Ohtani at bat this year. It's so stupid.
It's so funny.
But also, by the way, do we care about the homers from Aaron Judge? Because I know that we've talked about
I care more about
home runs,
the Triple Crown.
You know what I care about? You see the stat right there that says RBI 126. This is a run producer. Produce runs. Remember we talked about October baseball and what Alex Rodriguez did and what David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez did in October, and Derek Jeter, even Derek Jeter, not considered a run producer. He sure as hell was in October, wasn't he? So why do we really care about home runs? Home runs are awesome. It's the best thing you can do on a baseball field. But you know, it's the second best thing you can do. You can hit a single when a guy's on second or third base. Hit a ball in the gap with a man at first base that can run. And when a run is scored, you think I care if Aaron Judge produced a run via home run or via a hit or even walking with the bases loaded? No. He's in the 3 or 4 spot in this lineup to produce runs. And so that's what I'm paying attention to. Aaron Judge is not hitting the way he usually does right now, and that's okay. But is he finding ways to produce runs for this team that desperately needs runs? We have to have runs in September. You cannot afford to not just go on a streak where you can't hit a homer, but you also, with a man on third base and less than 2 outs, you're struggling to put the ball in play and to get that run in the ugly way. He's a run producer. That's why we paid him. We didn't pay him just to hit homers. We paid him to get guys to touch home.
I agree. And by the way, Judge has a outside shot now of Bobby Witt Jr. is down to 335. Yeah. And Aaron Judge is at 322. So is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who quietly is having one of the best seasons I've ever seen for that type of player. I'm so impressed with him
this year. Yeah.
Because he did kind of like what we were talking about with like heel, how you take something off for more control. He's not swinging for the fences anymore. I think he's flattened out his swing a little bit better. He's becoming more of a pure hitter. And I want to give him props for that because I don't think people are paying attention to that. But that's a cool thing that like just as a baseball fan, I appreciate. But yeah,
we need more of that in our game, by the way. We need more
absolutely.
Bobby Witt Juniors. We need more people that take pride. Aaron Judge is one of them.
Yeah.
Take pride in seeing your average up on the big screen and it says 325 and not 245. And then the media asks you, hey, are you comfortable striking out 230 times? They say they pay me to hit homers. That's not a baseball player. That is a home run hitter.
What do they
and
ask?
I'll watch that with Pete Alonso at the Derby. Don't show me a home run hitter. Show me a ball player.
No, I agree with that. So yeah, Gleyber, you and I are very high on him right now, rightfully so. He's playing at I think he is going to be electric in the postseason. Electric. So. He doesn't need to hit home runs though. And he doesn't need to go crazy on the base paths because he's not going to. But I'm talking when he comes up in a tight spot, he's going to be able to do it. He's going to set the table. He's going to be another run for Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Wells, right? I'm really excited for Gleyber Torres because we know he hits well in October. I mean, he did that at age 22 against the Astros.
He did it during the COVID season. He was unbelievable in October.
So
I was sitting there with binoculars looking through at Petco Park, watching him rake. Gleyber Torres in his last 7 games, he's getting on base statistically. I don't even need to read it to you. Half the time. Half the time Gleyber Torres reaches first base. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I want to point out something before we get into because Alex Verdugo had a great game today. So I want to give him props. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, I have to point out, I thought this is cool. We've talked about this before, how Gleyber with 2 strikes will shorten up his leg kick and it becomes like a toe tap.
Right.
Did you notice he was doing that today and it wasn't 2 strikes?
No, I didn't. Nice.
When it was a 7-4 game, that hit he had to knock in a run, that was on a toe tap. I think he only had 1 strike count on them. Okay. And he served in a center. I just feel like he's becoming a better player. Like slowly but surely, he might not have better stats than years past, but I think currently in September, what he is right now is the best version we've seen of Gleyber Torres because I don't need him to hit home runs. He understands his role and he's putting the bat on the ball and he's doing it at a great clip. So I have to give a lot of credit to Gleyber Torres because he's been a lot of fun to watch. And his at-bats, I mean, he will sit there and battle. He's hitting 357 in September right now, okay? He has 10 hits and 28 at-bats. I mean, he's got an 870 OPS. He's got a 441 on base percentage. I understand that's only, I don't even know how many games that is. It's probably like 8. But 357 and then a 441 on base percentage. And he's a leadoff hitter who's got an 870 OPS to start off this month. It's not easy to have a large OPS because the leadoff hitter you're going to have on base, but you're not going to really be able to slug that well as some of the others. So
I don't even know if I care about short sample size. October baseball, postseason baseball is a short sample size. People get on Mike Trout for not hitting well in October because he got there like once and he didn't play well. And then he gets to the World Baseball Classic. Everyone's like, geez, why can't Mike Trout play like this in the postseason? He never plays well. Mike Trout has like 2 at-bats in October. So you can't judge players negatively. And then all of a sudden they do something positive in a short sample size. In the most important games of the year, yeah, it's been a short sample size. But would you rather Gleyber Torres hit well in May or do something and get on base half the time in September when everyone's saying Aaron Judge isn't his usual self, Juan Soto's not his usual self? Don't we want this player to figure it out when it matters? Because as far as I'm concerned, when it really comes down to it, if the Yankees win the World Series, huge if, not likely at all, right? It's not likely for anybody to win the World Series. It's very hard to do. If the Yankees won the World Series in 2024 and Gleyber Torres played a big role in it, he was getting on base half the time in October. He won like a championship series MVP. And then the year ends. He's no longer a Yankee. Now we're going into negotiation in the open market. Don't you know everyone would say, yeah, I want this player back. If he helped the Yankees win a World Series, everybody, regardless of what they tell you, they want winners back. And you know what Gleyber Torres was really making a valiant effort to do in 2020? Help the Yankees win. You know who else was doing that? Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton was about to break the all-time record for homers in a postseason. And you know what? If the Yankees had won a World Series, you know what they'd still be talking about right now with Giancarlo? The fact that, wow, do you remember all the great runs with Hideki Matsui? And they'd be throwing Giancarlo Stanton's name in that they'd be throwing him right in there with him. And it sounds crazy, but it's not. We judge players in October here in Pinstripes. It is what it is. It's a short sample size, but this player in Gleyber Torres, the way he's playing of late, not just the last week, but the way he's done the last 30 games, his on-base percentage is almost 400 his last 30 games played. He's prepping himself for October baseball, and we have to hope to God this player continues, because if he does, the Yankees aren't just a two-headed attack anymore. We don't have to make that stupid headline on YouTube anymore. We can actually say this offense slaps. They're good. So
yeah,
in large part because of some of these guys.
Yeah, Alex Verdugo is hitting 300 in September. He's got it over 350 on base percentage now. And, you know, we were talking about how he doesn't slug, right? Well, today, to give him some props, that was a big, big, big home run. Big. They were losing 2-1 in a game that looked like it was going to be a 2-1 game.
Yeah.
Felt like the postseason, right?
It felt like the Didi Gregorius home run. You remember that homer against the Twins?
No, I don't.
You don't remember? Okay, so we were losing, I believe. I don't remember if it was a wild card game or if it was the ALDS.
Oh, you're talking about the playoffs? Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
So Didi Gregorius ties the game. I
thought you were just bringing up a random home run.
Oh, no.
Out of a 162 game season. I'm like,
no,
Gary, come on.
The only homer you remember Didi Gregorius hitting. Now, he was a pretty decent player, but that was the homer that mattered, what he did in October. So that homer that Verdugo hit, because I don't want to say, oh, we weren't expecting him to do it and it doesn't mean anything for tomorrow. All that's true. But you have to tip your cap for someone who helps you win today. It is what it is. Whether or not you think Alex Verdugo should have been in there or not, we made our comments very clear earlier today. But when a player is a part of winning today in September, yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're not going to shy away from it. And what it at least shows is that if Alex Verdugo can slug, which there's a big if there, then you can justify his bat potentially off the bench. But if it doesn't continue, the Yankees have other options because of their health and because of call-ups where they have other players who are better. They just do. But we have to hope that Alex Verdugo finds something, whether it's the batting gloves, whether it is maybe a player coming up from the minor leagues is pushing him to play better. You never know what the issue is or what's actually a solution. But Jake, when you perform like this in a game that we talked about before the game ever started, this is a must-win game for the Yankees and the Royals. Both of these teams need these games desperately. And when Alex Verdugo hits a jack like that and it turns this game on its head, well, we're going to clap our hands. It was big.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're not anti Alex Verdugo, like just in general. We've been anti what Alex Verdugo has been. I mean, go back. We have a YouTube short. We were literally talking up Alex Verdugo. Like
in the fit. Yeah.
We have a show in which we were trying to make a case whether or not Alex Verdugo makes sense to be brought back.
Mm-hmm.
Like how he could change what they do with Spencer Jones. That's where I like to be in that realm. To be honest, though, I don't think that's who he is, but I think he's somebody who could get hot, could be an October savior, be one of those like Aaron Boones that can come through with a big hit. And it's just like the unlikely hero. I think he can be that. I think he could be that off the bench.
Did you have Marco Scutaro being one of the best World Series hitters ever? Did you ever have that?
So fun fact, because I used to play MLB 2K4 baseball, I think it was, or 2K5. Yeah, it was 2K. Well, 2K5, I think, had the 2004 roster. They were always like, yes, they did. So, yeah, because the Yankees were cracked in that game. Like, you had freaking Randy Johnson. You could just throw 101. You had your dad. You had A-Rod, Jeter, all that. So, Marco Scutaro was in the game. I thought he was a created player. I thought he was made up.
Right.
I did not even think he was real. And then I realized he was real when I saw his performance in the postseason. I was like, oh, see, because they used to have those awful, like, because I would do like years of franchise mode on MLB 2K. And they would just have like these generic, like random names. Like they turned, like Barry Bonds' name was Reggie Stocker because he would never be in a game. And he was John Dowd in MLB, whatever it was called.
Famously.
MVP baseball. So funny funny though. It was like I totally like I would see like random names, and then Marco Scooter came. I'm like, that was a generic, like that was a totally generated name. Like what the hell, you know? And then I saw him in the postseason. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But to your point though, yeah, I mean, I think Verdugo can be one of those guys. I also think Cabrera, and it wouldn't surprise anybody if he came off the bench. Boone, you know, tries to make a big manager decision like, hey, this guy isn't hitting well. Should probably keep him in, but I feel good about putting in Cabrera here in a tight spot. He comes in, hits a pinch hit home run. That would shock nobody because people believe that is what Cabrera is, a clutch guy. He's been
has
clutch.
Raul Ibanez moment?
Yeah, why not?
Well, it's gonna be
Grisham though.
It's not
if
a great
think
player.
About it.
Oh God.
It's gonna be Grisham with that awful looking swing.
If Trent Grisham hits a big homer in October, and I like Trent Grisham, not necessarily as a player on this roster, but I mean,
he'll be an emergency guy. He'll be on so you can have emergency players for the postseason. They'll keep him around. He's not going to be
Jerry
on this
Harrison
roster.
Jr. was the left fielder in emergency in 9th inning and 8th inning for the World Series team. You wouldn't think Jerry Harrison Jr. is going to play some pivotal role for a World Series team, but he did have a role.
Yeah.
Great players are not going to be all over the field. Go look at some of the best teams ever. You'll watch a fly ball get hit out to right field, and you're like, who the hell is that guy? Who is that? Right? You wouldn't look at Pablo Sandoval and be like, oh, yeah, everyone had it penciled in that Pablo Sandoval was just going to go off against Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer can't get him out, right? Anibal Sanchez, they just can't get this guy out.
Oh
Nobody.
My God.
Nobody would have made that prediction. But what October baseball really is about, it's about scheme and style of play. That's actually been the biggest gripe the Yankees fans have had over the years is the Yankees style of play. Trying to hit home runs, not caring about striking out, not taking pride in that, right? And that's the reason why we were so excited about Jazz Chisholm's emergence. It's the reason why we said, yeah, I'm not sure if you want to keep Gleyber Torres, but if Gleyber Torres plays well, if Alex Verdugo plays well, the style of which they play the game is the opposite of the way the Yankees typically play. And maybe that'll have an impact in October. But as of now, we have no assurance of what's going to happen, you know, when it gets cold out, because that's when the important games start getting played. When you start seeing people's breath, that's when the real baseball players come out to play. And we just have to hope some of these guys stay hot. Wells, Gleyber Torres, Chisholm. And then we also need guys like Aaron Judge and Juan Soto to be their usual selves. Because if they are, we are the most deadly team in baseball. We are unproven. We are the Cowboys as of now. But, Jake, that can change really fast.
Yeah, the Cowboys just destroyed that playoff team that everybody was high on, potentially winning the division in the Browns. Yep. So you never know. I don't know if they're good. It's week 1, but I don't know. But I want to talk about Alex Verdugo's quote because I thought this was interesting.
That. Go ahead.
Yeah, I liked it. Alex Verdugo on Jasson Dominguez's promotion, Max T. Goodman, shout out to him for having this. He's going to come up here. He's going to play. He's going to help this team win. Whatever that means, right? If I lose a little bit of playing time, I lose a little bit of playing time. At the end of the day, I want to win. The only thing that matters is getting to the playoffs and winning there. See, this is not, by the way, and do not spin this as this is how you answer, not you, Nestor Cortez, because I agreed with how Nestor responded. This is different. They flat out asked him about another player potentially taking over his playing time. And This is what he responded with. This isn't PR. He said he talked how he talks. He didn't say, yeah, you know, my teammates and blah, 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 blah. No. He was Alex Verdugo in the moment. This was authenticity, 100%. He showed the fact that he's human. So he's like, yeah, he's going to play. He's going to play. You know, it's the whole, it is what it is. That doesn't make you a bad person for saying it is what it is. You can be down. You could be annoyed. You could be upset. You might not love the way the thing went, but if you say it is what it is, it's not anything that's like people are going to reach on Twitter and say, that's passive aggressive. I don't care. I mean, he's not coming out and saying I'm better than Jasson Dominguez. Screw that guy. Or he's not saying I'm the starting left fielder, right? He's saying, I want to win, and I'm going to play because I do believe that I'm good enough and they believe I'm good enough, but he's also going to play because he belongs here too. And the reality is all that matters is we get to the playoffs and we win. It's that simple. And
I mean, that's how he's going to be remembered, right? So Alex Verdugo knows how he's played. I mean, a lot of us as Yankees fans who watch every game, we feel like, well, it's in 4K, it's on my big screen TV. They feel like they know Alex Verdugo's performance better than anyone. And I'm here to tell you guys right now, you know who knows it better than you? And this isn't personal to anybody listening or us, Jake, who run the show. No, Alex Verdugo knows how he's playing more than anybody else, more than Boone, more than Cashman. No, Alex Verdugo knows he's stunk up the joint. Yeah. He knows, right? Just like Joey Gallo knew. So these players are fully aware of how they've performed and whether or not they deserve to play. But here's where I love this comment. If I had to sum up this entire comment into what it really meant, it meant I am probably going to lose a lot of playing time, but Boone, I'm going to stay ready because the way I'm going to be remembered is what I can do when it actually means a damn in October. If Alex Verdugo gets on the field and he pinch hits with a man on third base and less than 2 outs in the 6th inning of some random postseason game, and his one job is to drive a ball out into the outfield, right? And you've got Clase up there throwing 103, and somehow, some way, he gets barrel on a baseball and hits a line drive down the right field line, hits a 2-run homer, throws the game on its head, never plays again the rest of October. He does that one thing. We are going to remember him.
He will be talked about on plenty of Yankees Unloaded episodes.
And not only that, Jake, when he gets to free agency, every other baseball team is going to say he can make an impact. He can make an impact.
He can
this player, he might not be great. He may have hit 165 for 3 months. But when a player is a good teammate, he's liked in the clubhouse, and he says the right thing, and then all of a sudden he shows up in the most important games you're facing the best teams. Now all of a sudden you did one thing well. We're going to remember the one thing you did well when it all mattered most. We're not going to remember what you did in May. Can someone tell me Raul Ibanez, when he hit those 2 bombs pinch hitting for Alex Rodriguez in October against Baltimore, hit a walk-off? Can someone tell me what he did in July? You can't, can you? You're going to have to go Google that. No one remembers. Nobody cares. Because we only care about what you do when it really matters. We might get mad at you in May. We will. But in October baseball, you can undo it all. This is the reason why Aaron Judge can play as well as he has. And yet, if he stinks up the joint this October, it's going to be a topic of conversation because that's what we really care about. It's the reason why we judge Aaron Boone as harshly as we do. Brian Cashman as well. Hal Steinbrenner as well. If you don't do it when it really matters, to hell with what you did in May.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think looking at the comments under this type of tweet, you can see, I think he really, that jived in the Yankees universe for sure, because I think a lot of people just, unfortunately, and I feel bad for Alex Verdugo. I do, because obviously he doesn't want to go out there and play like crap, you know, and he was really embraced early on with the Yankees. Like a lot of fans liked him, the whole dog thing. Like he was playing well, and then he wants to continue playing well, and then all of a sudden he gets into the slump that just does not go away. And then he gets discouraged and he's not hustling. So, you know, now he has us on him, even though we were on his side when he was hitting well. And now it's not that you and I view it this way, but I think it's easy for fans to then assume like the way he's playing and then he's playing over Dominguez. Like it's almost like they create this like caricature of him, almost like I'm trying to explain it in a way that kind of makes sense. Cause I don't know if you can tell where I'm going with this, but
like he's the arrogant one. Like he's the one pulling the trigger on this decision-making. It's not his fault.
It's not his
fault. He's
a
person trying his best. And that doesn't mean we need to coddle him and shed a tear. No. We need to acknowledge he's being put into a position that he can't fix on his own. There's some other variable that he can't distinguish. If he could be hitting 315 for the Yankees, he'd be the first one to want to go do that. He
Oh,
would.
yeah,
But the
absolutely.
reality is, same with Joey Gallo. But everybody told you this guy's got enough flaws. We don't think he can fix it here in New York. We think it'll actually get worse. Okay. So that's where we are. These players aren't saying, oh, Jasson Dominguez, your top prospect. If he showed up and said, I really think I should be playing left field, he just wants to play. Who wants to lose their job? Who?
No one. No one wants to
There's
lose their
nobody.
job.
I don't care. You could be, look at this in the dating world. You could be dating the most, your favorite girl in the world. And all of a sudden, if she just leaves you, and next thing you know, you find out Brad Pitt is right behind you. She's now dating Brad Pitt. Well, guess what? You know he looks better than you.
Yeah.
So what are you going to say? Oh, yeah, I totally see why you did it. No, you're still going to be upset. You're still going to want the girl. And that's the situation that we're in. We are in a situation where Alex Verdugo is taking it on the chin, and he's saying, hold on a second. I will do whatever. I don't care. Take me off the bench, put me in center, throw me in right for a day. I don't care where you play me. I have to do it when it really matters. And that's probably going to be a super small sample size. Alex Verdugo is probably going to get 4 at-bats in October. Even though some people are going to say, I wish he had 0, he wants to fight out there and start. But he might get 4 at-bats. If 2 of them turn into big hits, I guarantee you, our comment section will be saying, oh, Alex Verdugo, super clutch. He helped the Yankees win his first World Series since 2009. The whole narrative will change. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's what he's looking for.
No, absolutely. And, again, seeing the comments like, oh, I think I was too hard on him. Like now people are that's what happens. By the way, that's all Gallo had to do, for the record. That's all he had to do. If Gallo came out and, admitted how poorly he was playing and didn't actually make it you and blame New York and blame the fans.
Shift. Oh my gosh.
In the shift. I mean, he handled it so poorly. And I wanted to feel bad because he was a Yankee fan growing up and he was so excited to play for the Yankees. And I hated the trade and I knew it wasn't going to go over well. But then his actions actually matched the caricature, so to speak, right? And I feel like Verdugo just kind of, in my opinion, he just nullified all of that by just this one quote. And it's just a reminder, like, if you're authentic and you come out and you admit and you're like, okay, yeah, like this is happening and I just want to win. I'm not, not making a big deal about it. It's a simple gesture, but everyone notices. So hats off to Alex Verdugo because this was the right answer. And I'll tell you right now, he basically, in a way, without realizing it, made it even look worse from the organization standpoint. They could have had Jasson Dominguez up here a long time ago, and he's basically saying he would have been fine with it. That's not what he was asked, but if this happened in July when he was ready, he would have been totally fine with it. And I think that's actually a testament to the teammate Verdugo is. It's why everybody loves him. I keep hearing how much everyone loves this guy in the clubhouse. Well, if everybody loves him, you'd have to imagine then he's not going to be somebody that's going to throw a fit if all of a sudden you call up the best prospect you've had since Aaron Judge and you tell him, yeah, we're going to be splitting time with you. You're not going to get as much playing time. I don't think he would have thrown a fit about that. And this kind of shows it. So, I wanted to bring up Rodon, talk about the bullpen, and then, wrap the show up because I think Rodon did pitch. I think he had a good game. I do. It might not look that way. I think the first off, the error, the throw on Chisholm, I don't know why he bounced that. He normally, he's got a cannon. So I don't know why he bounced. He just rushed his throw. But it was an error because if you guys missed at the beginning, the ball bounced. And Rizzo normally makes great plays on that. It's a tough play in general to make that scoop. And it just knocked out of his glove. And he caught it barehanded, but guy was already safe. So I thought Rodon giving up 6 hits in 6 innings, 3 runs. I'll take that, right? He didn't give up 4. He gave up 3 earned. He had 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. The reason people will look at this start and say, is because of the Renfroe home run and because of the Perez home run. And I'll tell you right now, you and I talked about it on the live stream. If you guys haven't checked that out, you can after this. It's already posted. Just look up. It's the Jasson Dominguez video. We literally right before we gave up on the not gave up, but we ended the live stream right before the game. I went over the at bats, the lineups, the averages all time against the pitchers. And Perez had some of the most crazy numbers I've ever seen against any pitcher in my life, career-wise. And I said, he's hitting a home run today. Because Rodon has given up at least one home run. Because he gives up at least one home run every time it seems like he pitches. He's dominant, but he'll still give up a home run. He'll give up one hit, it will be a home run. I don't understand how Salvador Perez was pitched to not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times, 4 for 4. Now, I know Rodon didn't face him 4 times, but Rodon should not have pitched anywhere near him. And you had mentioned on Twitter, which I'm glad you did, his splits are insane against lefties. So was not happy about that at all. I mean, he's hitting,
by the way. Is that when you see splits like that and you're talking about somebody that you know, hey, just letting you know at your profession, something you're paid millions of dollars to do. And your job as a pitcher is to get guys out. No matter the assignment, your job is to get guys out. Maybe someone sees splits, and it's the same thing with Aaron Judge. You see Aaron Judge has 6 homers off you career and he's hitting 600 and you just don't get him out, right? Rafael Devers with Garrett Cole. Have you ever seen Garrett Cole get Rafael Devers out ever? Never. You've never seen it happen because it's never happened. He's 10 for 10 with 10 grand slams, it feels like.
Your ace is never going to walk the best batter. That's like...
No, because Garrett Cole, and it's the same in this situation. Salvi Perez is coming up to the plate. Carlos Rodon knows the numbers. It's not like we're telling him stuff he doesn't know. He knows the numbers. He's reading it. Like they have it on sheets everywhere in the clubhouse. He knows it. Yet you come into the game and you say, I'm going to go win the battle. And I think sometimes ego can get in the way of the game plan, and you need to be realistic. Okay, what is my actual job? Is it to get every hitter out, or is it to get this team out and to win? Your job is to help the Yankees win. The best way you can do that is to pick your battles. Garrett Cole, when you go face Boston later this year, please, for the love of God, don't try to pick a battle with a player we know you're not going to get out. Just pitch around him and pitch to the next guy. And that's your job. Your job is to help the team get through the start. That's it. And so I think right now, based on if I had to judge that outing, I think he executed pitches, missed location on a couple, but that's okay. That happens all the time. I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is a lack of execution because they call it in Call of Duty ego pushing, where you just take on a challenge that you know in your right mind you have no business taking on. I think that's what we saw with Salvi Perez, and the Yankees paid, but luckily the offense, our number 2 rated offense in baseball, bailed them out. Austin Wells helped bail them out. So I was thankful for that. And in general, Rodon wasn't bad enough to pitch us out of a game. So that means something.
No, I mean, the magic number 5, that's always the magic number. They win at least 90% of the games when they scored these 5 runs. So Rodon gave him that. I thought Rodon pitched well. I had issues, like I said, going after Perez. Because, I mean, dude, you know what is the funniest split to me? Salvi Perez, for no reason at all. Day games, he hits 212. At night, he hits like 280. It's like, well, he sees the ball better. I don't know. He's getting up there in age. Maybe he's losing his eyes. But Jake Cousins, spectacular out of the bullpen. Again, I don't care about the walk. All you're trying to do is make sure you don't give up a run. So 2 strikeouts. Really liked what I saw from him. Luke Weaver. If that wasn't an FU fastball, I don't know what was. When he threw that and he had all those guys on base, that was huge. That was a great strikeout from Luke Weaver. I don't know why the hell he was in the 8th. I texted you a bunch of expletives. I'm like, why the hell? Not that, but obviously I was like, I don't know why he was in the 8th.
It was
like,
Boone being creative. Remember, he told you.
He did say that. And then we never got to find out who was going to be in the 9th. Was it actually going to be Ian Hamilton, or was it Ian Hamilton because it's now a 10-4 game? Who knows? We'll never know.
We don't know.
But Ian Hamilton made his first appearance since, let me pull this up, in June 16th. His first appearance since June 16th, which, by the way, Ian Hamilton, I said when we were podcasting in June, I said, I think he's injured. He's not this bad.
Yeah, you did say that.
He had a 9.95 ERA in June. I was like, he's injured. He went 4 games in a row giving up a run. He gave up 1 run against the Dodgers, 1 run against Kansas City, 3 runs against Kansas City, and 2 against Boston.
Brother looks like Macklemore.
He looks like he hates the world and everything in it. But you know what? I like Ian Hamilton a lot. I always have. And get him going, and he's going to be a valuable asset for the October. And that doesn't mean he pitches in the 9th or whatever. Actually, his splits would probably lead him more towards the 7th or 8th. He's not great in the 9th normally, but
put him in the 7th because Clay Holmes clearly has the 8th inning locked down. I think he's got it figured out there for now. So let's go ahead
for now.
For now. Yeah, I don't want anyone quoting me or clipping this. So
someone will clip it and be like, Gary said Clay Holmes is the greatest thing ever. He's better than Monterey Rivera.
Better than Clase. He's better than Miller. That's what they'll do. So well,
whatever. Yeah, I hope Oakland's enjoying keeping that seat warm for the Yankees because Mason Miller someday is going to be a Yankee. Someday, maybe when he's 35, but he will be.
My heart dropped just now, by the way, because I was thinking that it was my turn to offer a movie, but
I saw that. I thought that did not look good. You looked like you were going through a moment there.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot your responsibility. So Jake, what's it gonna be?
Well, we got to do the shout outs in the mailbag.
Okay, do the shout outs in the mailbag, and you can kill time and stall to come up with the movie you really want to do. I know your game. Go ahead and Google while you're reading.
He knows me so well.
I know you so well.
So the field level shout out to Juan Cepeda, Kid from LI, Carlos Marrero, Jeff J, Ed W, Brian Fuchs, Ryan Hoffman, Rich Squires, Joshua Halleckman, Egyptian Magician, Nick Gomes, Jalen Sestero, and JT Roberts. And we have 2 mailbag questions. Ed W, sorry, we definitely had to, due to time constraints, as Matt Vasgersian says in MLB The Show, when you do a quick move.
Or Yes Network forward during rain delays.
Oh, yeah. Due to time constraints, we kind of paraphrased your question. But the basis of it, you were basically asking if Stanton and Volpe have anyone working on mechanics with them. And the answer I have for you is I have no idea. I do not know. But what about you, Gary? Do you know anything about that?
I know nothing about it, but I'm going to say this. When it comes to, hey, does someone work on their mechanics? Like, for example, Aaron Judge clearly has somebody else outside of the Yankees organization helping him with his mechanics, but I don't really care who works on it with him personally. I care about the results. And if you're not getting the results that you need to be getting, then you need to be working with somebody else, or you need to get more talented. Get gooder is what we like to call it.
Get good.
Get good. Okay.
Get good.
So is Anthony Volpe, remember when Anthony Volpe was hitting well at the beginning of this year, we were saying, oh yeah, I think Soto's swing and Cabrera's swing is maybe Soto's having an impact on this locker room. And then suddenly 3 months go down the road and Volpe's hitting 215. Well, suddenly now Juan Soto has no impact on what he's doing, right? All these guys who helped him flatten out his swing, suddenly they weren't leading him down the right path. I think personally, to answer this question, I just think they need to take responsibility regardless of who they're working on, like who's working with them, any of that stuff. So yeah, they clearly need something else, something else to help them.
I hear you. And then the next mailbag is from Jalen Sestero. Volpe continues to struggle hitting, especially his last 30 games. His on-base percentage is becoming a big problem. What's your course of action with him? Do you consider Jazz at shortstop, Birdie at third base, or 2 to give him a refresh, maybe even Oswaldo? He did bring up the what Volpe did after the All-Star break as a explanation for this. But where are you on that? And then I'll answer after you.
Okay. I believe Anthony Volpe should just stay at shortstop. They shouldn't even overthink this at all. I just believe in general, this is sort of like the Brandon Crawford of the roster. You're going to go hit 8th. You're going to be a Gold Glove shortstop in October. We're the number 2 rated. I cannot gloss over this possibly in this answer. We are the 2nd best offense in Major League Baseball, not just American League. So the need of having an offensive shortstop, not saying the Yankees couldn't use one. Absolutely they could. But a lot of those guys that we talk about replacing him at shortstop, they're going to be massively worse, way worse at shortstop. So I just think based on what Volpe provides this team in the short term, and that's his glove, the Yankees with a team in terms of fit, they need a really good shortstop given our defense in the infield. I think Volpe's fine at short. He could hit a lot better. We've talked about it. We've spent hours talking about it. And that does need to get better if he has a future long-term with this team. But as far as the short term, you leave him alone.
Yeah, I agree. I thought today, I'm not going to say we were the reason, but Volpe hasn't had a day off since March. And we put out a video that was, they lied to us about Volpe and all this stuff. We went in on Volpe. And then all of a sudden, for the first time since March, he has a day off. So I don't know if they're listening, but I still find that timing is just, there's been timing in the past that's been like, the Jazz Chisholm stuff, but I think, we knew that they were going to be interested in him, but there's been stuff that we've seen.
I think they listen. They probably don't make roster decisions based on what we say.
Probably not, but they listen.
I know for a fact they do listen, and maybe you put something in someone's ear and they on their own say that they're going to make that decision. And again, I'm not saying and doubling down that we made Anthony Volpe sit today. I don't think that. But
no,
we did talk about it, and the chances that he sat were pretty slim. So that was cool.
So I would say I like the idea of it, but I would want Jazz to stay at third. On days Birdie plays, I would put him in left field, I think. I'm not giving Gleyber a day the rest of the year. I need him in the lineup. I need him as my leadoff hitter. Yeah, I mean, I think I might even give Volpe the day off tomorrow. I might give him a little bit of a refresh. I might take him out the rest of this series and then bring him back for the Boston series.
Okay.
I don't know. Just a quick refresh, right?
That's fine because the Boston series is a pretty light series in terms of who he'll be facing on the mound. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Boston can't pitch a lick. That's the reason they can't win.
I still need his defense against the Orioles, so he'll be playing against the Orioles. But right. I feel like giving him a refresh. I actually really like this question, Jalen. I think you're onto something there. So yeah, I'll say you keep him out the rest of this series, and this isn't something where if he's in the lineup tomorrow, I'm going to be complaining like it's Jose Trevino in the lineup because that won't happen. But I personally, if I was in charge of the Yankees right now, I give you're cracking up over there.
I was gonna say I hope we see Jose Trevino at shortstop tomorrow. That'd be the ultimate FU to Yankees Unloaded from Boone.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think tomorrow, I think I would play Birdie at short tomorrow. Play Cabrera in left field. Okay. I would that's probably what I would do.
I'd probably just put Cabrera at short. And I don't want to poach. I mean, I'm poaching your idea. If you're giving Volpe a couple days off, you're essentially stealing the idea of what Boone did with Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres didn't sit one day; he sat multiple.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Maybe it's a reset, and we've talked about a reset before with other players. Gleyber Torres was one of them. Verdugo was definitely another player that we talked about with a reset or just getting rid of, but mainly a reset.
His favorite thing is hearing "give him a day." It's like prime, and he's in his prime. There are two things Gary hates in this world. It's when someone says, "Can you give him a day?" and he's in his prime.
Every time you get Amazon shipping, next day shipping, you should click it, and it's Boone saying, "Give him a day." Give him a day. It'll be at your doorstep.
I mean, hey, Amazon is really close to being majority owners of Yes Network, so
Oh,
Remember
really?
we talked about that? They have almost the
Oh,
most
yeah.
steak in it. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because I mean,
That's
I'm
why I
glad we
find
talked
it so
about that.
funny. Like you always
Okay.
make Amazon mentions. It's like, oh, it's right on brand. I have the movie, by the way. So we had some
See, I
great
couldn't even tell
news.
you were Googling right there. Nice work.
Yeah, no, I wasn't Googling it because I thought about it. I was like, oh, this is obvious. I even tweeted about it earlier today. If you know me, I'm a huge Marvel fan. If you didn't know that, then I guess you don't really know me that well. But I'm a
Oh, where are
huge
you going
Marvel
with this?
fan. And to the side, to my right side, it's cut off. I'll tell you guys right now. I'll just show you. Let's see. How am I going to do this without ruining everything?
You will.
I don't know. This is risky. Let's see.
Oh boy.
Let's see where. How do I do this? This is bad. Oh, GG's. It's Jover. I don't even know what to do. Trio. That. Is it just the
I'm just waiting on
solo?
Anthony Rizzo to do something so I can go with the Rizzler.
The wrist. Yeah, I don't know. Is this it? Oh, no, it's not
That
that.
seems, I mean, we're backed off.
Well, yeah,
So
that's all I was trying to do. Yeah. So my Spider-Man mask.
Okay.
So today we got news. If you're a Spider-Man fan, there's also Michael Myers. So I hope I didn't, get people excited for a new Michael Myers reboot or whatever. But anyway,
You didn't.
No, because I literally said I said Marvel. So anyway, we got news on who is going to direct Spider-Man 4. It is Destin Daniel Cretton, who did Shang-Chi, and I am hyped for it. Absolutely stoked. I thought he did an incredible job with that movie. So,
Okay.
I want you. Well, you didn't like Shang-Chi?
No. So it's just Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be Spider-Man. But
It's Spider-Man. All right.
But what the question is, what movie?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say what ended up being my all-time favorite movie, Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Okay.
It was fan service, nostalgia, and I thought it was just a great film. And yeah, I mean, those films are awesome. I think Spider-Man is one of the best IPs ever. I just wish Sony didn't own it. So
it's like the Yankees. You wish Hal Steinbrenner didn't own it. It would be way
I don't
better.
want to go that far. Like I said, I kind of low key don't have an issue with Hal. Like I mean, my biggest issue is with Cashman, I would say.
Okay. I mean, absolutely 100%. So
Yeah.
Spider-Man, I almost said No Way Home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No Way Home. I was almost going to say
Homecoming. That was my least favorite.
Okay.
Well, no. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is my least favorite of all the Spider-Mans because I thought the CGI was incredible. It was absolutely incredible, but I didn't like the take on Electro. I did not like the way Jamie Foxx looked. He looked a lot better in No Way Home, but I did not like his take on Electro. And the Green Goblin, they didn't have to make him look like ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean?
Should have made the villain in Spider-Man Django.
Oh
instead.
my God. It's just like he comes out with guns and stuff. And it's like this big, it's like what? Like
it'd have been better. All right. So No Way Home Spider-Man. Put that in the comment section if you're still around, which we know you are because our audience always is.
Well, Spider-Man No Way Home. What are you, a foreigner? Like,
well, no, I don't. I know. I'm
No Way Home
reverse.
Spider-Man. What?
I'm Yoda is what I am. So.
The Yankees, New York. Unloaded Yankees.
Yeah, I was
Sheffield
Yoda.
Gary. He's corporate, guys. He puts the last name before the first name. All his notes probably have Judge Aaron.
They should.
I'm just messing with you, my guy. But yeah, so put Spider-Man. You better have the hyphen. I take that very seriously.
They will.
Spider-Man. It is not Spider-Man. It is not Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. So hyphen Spider-Man. No Way Home. I don't need the colon for No Way Home. Extra points if you put the colon, hyphen, Spider-Man, colon, No Way Home, and we'll know that you made it. to the hour and almost 30 mark. So yeah, almost a full-length film. Well, a good full-length film. Most films that only last this long are probably not very good. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
And like this